So for today, like I don't have any written notes although, because that's a complete practical thing what we are going to learn. So we are learning like the things what we have things whatever we have learned during our classic training related to your customization part. So how we can customize the same things, how we can reflect the same things in the Lightning environment, right? So let me first of all make a switch from classic to the Lightning, and yeah, okay. So let's now start with, if you are working with a Lightning environment, so whatever you have learned, things what are related to classic part, so how we can navigate the things over here as well. So first of all, when you initially being landed onto this, and if you are seeing this kind of interface where you are seeing this app launcher, setup, home, and everything. So let's understand the differences and let's understand how to navigate to the proper places. Now see, in the Salesforce Classic version, the app launcher was like it was present on the top right corner with a small drop down arrow over here. And as soon as you click, then you are going to see all of the applications that you have to. Now the same thing, that app launcher over in the Classic, over in the Lightning, it's actually present over here. That means completely different, right? It was top right corner, now it's top left corner. Okay. It was a pick list menu. It was a drop down over here. Even here also it's a drop down, but the appearance is same. So if you put your cursor over here, you can see the colors are highlighted on the dots, whatever. And you have seen something called as, this is something called as tooltip. Tooltip is whenever you put your cursor onto something, whatever the help, whatever the box that immediately pop up, that is something called as tooltip, right? So it shows you that this actually is a app launcher. As soon as you click on this, you can see a different app like service, marketing, sales, and everything, right? And if you wanted to get the complete list, you can definitely click over here, right? And this is what, right? So you created what are the, I mean, you created that is also going to be get listed out there. So let me select any of the application from here, right? Let me select any of the application. So if I select the sales, if I select the sale, so I will be entering into the sales console, right? So that is the first thing, how you can select the applications. Okay, how you can select the application based on from the app launcher. Now, for example, if you wanted to create an application, how you are going to do that, right? How you are going to do that, right? If you wanted to create an item, if you want to create your own application, in that case, like how you can exactly create a new application. That, so let's see that as well. So let me go back to that menu once again. So what you can do is, like, you can click on this gear icon. Onto this gear icon, the first is setup, right? So let's go to the setup. Let's go to the setup. The same user interface what we have seen. And in the quick find, you can write down app. In the quick find, you can write down the app or application, whatever. So if you write down the app, you can see that there's a menu. There's a menu called as app. In the app, there's an app manager, app exchange, connected app, everything, right? So I'll be going with the app manager for that. I'll be going with the app manager. So okay, here we are seeing, all of the applications that is over here. Now, why don't we see the application what we created inside? Like, I mean, when you click this over here, why don't you see that? Because that was not a complete list. That was not a complete list. When you click over here, you see that we can see the name of like sales, service, and everything. Even I will click on this view all. These were the icons. These were the icons like service, marketing, community, chatter, content, console. But we have not seen that the application that we have created in the classic version. But if you go with the app manager, here you can see that we created one of the application. You can see that is Skyline Cloud Solutions, right? But that was created in the classic version. Now this would precisely display, all of those applications. This would precisely display all of those applications that are Lightning compatible. Onto this list. Onto this list, you are going to see only those applications that are Lightning compatible. Because right now you are using which environment? You are into the Lightning Experience, right? You are using in the Lightning Experience. So we created one application with the name Skyline Cloud Solution, but that was created in the classic version. And so we cannot see the name over here or maybe with viewer, because that is something which is not Lightning application. It was a classic version, right? So if you wanted to create a new application, if you want to create a new Lightning application, you first of all require to go with the app. In the setup menu. What is the navigation? Go to this gear icon, click on the setup. You will be landed onto this interface, and in the quick find, just type down app. And in the app menu, you can see that there's an app manager. When you click on this, it's actually taking you towards Lightning Experience App Manager. Now here, although you can see the complete list of application, including Lightning as well as Classic, including connected and everything, even the community applications and everything has been listed out of it. Now, when we wanted to create, the first thing, if you remember, the first thing what I told you is like how we can create an application, and we created Merck Incorporation maybe, and this one also. Yeah, we created that. So probably see the Merck Incorporation is also listed out here, but that one is a classic version of application, right? And that is the reason we don't find this into this list, because this is a these are all applications that are compatible to Lightning Experience. By the way, your Merck Incorporation and this one, the Skyline Cloud Solution, whatever, they are not something that is compatible with Lightning. Okay. So now if you wanted to create a Lightning application, you require to go with this new Lightning app, this button. And here, when you open that, it's going to give you like the detailings and everything, right? So let me create my first Lightning application. Okay. So this is what the name I'm giving. If you wanted to upload any image, so if you remember, in the classic, we first of all required to upload the image into the document, right? And from the document we require to take it, right? Every application, every static resource I taught you in the classic version, whenever we creating the application, that time the first application we created without image. Now with the second application, what was it? So what we did is we first of all go to the document object and we select an image, and we store that inside the document. But in the Lightning, actually you don't require to use document. You can directly upload it. That's what it makes a little bit different, obviously. And you are going to learn obviously something which is advanced and classic, right? The things what we do in the classic and the things what we do in the Lightning a little bit more advanced and little bit more physical. So here in the Lightning interface, it's a direct possibility that you can upload the image directly from your computer without even storing that into the document or any other of the static resource objects, right? So that is one of the advantage. I think that's one of the advantage. If I go with this child, so uploading that image, and see the image has been uploaded, right? The image has been uploaded. Now you can select the colors and everything. That is also possible, and or theme. Use the app image and the color instead of whatever. So this is just a few of the appearance kind of thing. You can give the descriptions. You can give the description what this application is all related to. That you can here you can mention the name of the clients and everything, whatever. So that was the first thing. Okay, that was the first thing. Now it comes under app details and the branding. Okay, there's something also called as creation of the branding. Sometimes this is also called as creation of the branding creation. So if somebody tells you that have you ever created a brand, so you just don't require to get confused. When he's asking you, have you ever created a brand? That means have you ever created an application, right? Because application represents a brand, right? Application Merck is what? It's a brand. Skyline is what? It's a brand. Like Puma, it's a what? It's a brand, right? So every application, okay, like Bajaj FinServer, it's what? It's a brand. So creating an application indirectly means create the brandings. Okay. So what should be the navigation? Desktop, you wanted this application to be like placed what, you wanted to just it for the desktop or for the phone, or you wanted to make it compatible for both of the versions. If somebody is opening the application from the desktop or phone, so you can have these all selections. So these are again it just used to personalize the experience of your application, nothing else. And utility items, you can add the utility items from here, but that is only going to be work, for desktop. If somebody is opening the application for the mobile, they will not see. What you can add the chatters, you can add the histories and the flows and everything. These are something called as utility items. Okay. So along with the application, what are the other utilities? You can add the facility of notes and everything if you want it, right? I'm adding the notes. Okay. I'm adding the notes over here, right? So you can give the label or whatever. So that means we'll go next. And the navigation items, what you can, navigation items in the sense the objects, right? If you remember, if I create an application over in the classic, we have this facility that we could add the the objects, all of the standard and the custom object that we created, that we can add. The same thing we are doing over here as well. Only the interface is different. The look and feel of the interface is actually different. So I have selected this account. Let me select, like I am selecting book author, and let me select few of the objects, and let's start with this candidates cases. You can see that this is a list of all of the standard as well as your custom objects, right? And I'm selecting contacts, selecting the customers, and let's go with like hiring managers. Then let's go with lead. Let me select own applications. Okay, let's go with this only. So I'm adding all of them. I'm adding all of them into my application. This is the standard facility that you can add. Navigation items means your tabs. Navigation items means your tabs. Okay. One second. So my bash here. My bash here now. So this is what actually means by the navigation item, right? I mean adding the tabs, nothing else. So this application you wanted to select for any profile. No, you wanted to select for any profile. You any of the custom profile. Okay, if you wanted this application to be precisely used by a user having a particular profile, that would also be done. For example, if you have some of the custom profiles, I'll do one thing is, I'll make this available for the system administrator, standard user, and I have few of the custom profiles that we created in the classic version. So we have Skyline standard users and Skyline platform user, right? These are some of the profiles that we have created, right? So I wanted this application should only be visible and should only be accessible with the person who's having this profile. So I'm selecting all those profiles. I added them into the interface. You can see that, right? And if you want this to be make available for everybody, of course, you can require to make selections of every profile, and you can add them, right? And then save and finish. Save and finish. So now in the background, it's actually creating one of the application, right? So now one application has been created. That is my first Lightning application. So let me now go to this home, or rather over here as well, and let me refresh this once. And let's now try the same thing from here as well, right? So I'm going with the app launcher. I cannot see my application over here. Go to view all, and now you can see my first Lightning application. Now see, I wanted this application to be listed out somewhere here, because to list out that application, I certainly required to go to view all. I wanted this my application to be listed somewhere over here, right? And so what I will be doing is like, this application right now is at the bottom of the list. You just required to select this, just required to select this and bring it up, bring it up. That's kind of drag and drop feature, right? That's a kind of drag and. So now I bring this application and onto the top of the list, right? Top of the list. Let me close this. And let me once again click over here. Oh, my first application is set up, right? It's placing over here. Okay. Yeah. Now this is actually at the top of the list. This is actually at the top of the list. Let me close this. Let me refresh this once again. And let's now click over here. So now you can see that your application, the one you created, is being listed out, right? And now click on this application. I'm now into my application. I'm now into that particular application, right? Close this. So, close, like, this is your application, and you can see how easy it's like, even the image was also being uploaded, right? And we certainly don't require to upload this into a document object or any other like this one more object called as sorry, I just forgot that knowledge base. So there are two objects where you can upload the static images, static resources. One is the document, the second one is your content. Second one is your content, right? But here in the Lightning experience, you certainly don't require to do that, right? Okay. So this is one of the image I just uploaded, and even there is no such restriction that I don't know what's about. Let me go and see what was the size of that image. Because in the classic version, it was like, it should not more than 5 KB or 20 KB, right? Yeah. If you remember, if you wanted to use an image as a logo, that should not be exceeded 20 KB, right? That was one of the restriction in the classic. But as you can see, this image, I used this image, and what is the size? It's almost 180 KB. It's almost 180 KB. Still, the Lightning itself has converted that image into whatever the size, height, pixel rate. And this is what, see, this is the advantage with the Lightning. Every complicated part, it has taken on its own shoulder. And if you remember, like, if you wanted to upload an image, the first thing was like, we should require to upload the image into the document object. And the second thing what would require was, we also require to see the size, because making any image as a logo of the application, it should not exceed it more than 20 KB. But here I just have used one of the image which is almost 180 KB, right? It's almost 177 180 KB. The Lightning has taken this part that it's converted I mean, actually, if I compare this image, the size would be like, below 20 KB. But what the Lightning has done is like, it's internally has resized the image and make it to be appear like into 20 KB how much pixels it would require. That is what the thing. So that was the first thing, how you can create the application in the Lightning. That was the first thing. Now the second thing is like, the second thing what we learn is like, how to customize the tab bars and everything. So here you can see that these are the tabs available. Now if you wanted to bring something over here, and if you wanted to remove something from here in the customization of the tab bar, right? This is what your tab bar, right? You want to customize that. You want to customize, there's a small icon, small edit icon. Personalize your navigation bar. So tab bar over here in the Lightning is obviously called as navigation bar. Tab bar over in the Lightning, it's called as a navigation bar. Okay, it's see, things are pretty simple. I mean, it's the same thing. A little bit like, what I can say is like, names are certain change. Otherwise, things are that's only. So I'm clicking on this icon, and like, these are presently, I mean, these are the things that are presently over here. So if you wanted to add some item, you can do like, you can add the items. You can add the items. You can go with the all, and you can bring some more objects from here. Like, I'll bring the dashboard. So I just click on the plus icon. So it added the dashboard. If I wanted, for example, if I wanted for the opportunities, I'll just click on this plus icon. So and this is also being added. And example, I wanted positions, so I'm adding that as well. And then add three. So now you can see that these three items have been added, right? And then save it. And you can bring. I mean, one more thing, what you can do is like, you can rescale them. You can bring some of them, but just by drag and dropping, you can put the things above and below. That's what you can do. Okay, so that was about customizations of the tab bar. But we also have learned like how we can introduce, how we can create the new enhanced list views, right? So presently, if I'm onto the account, this is what these are the enhanced list view. Like we created something called as hot rating customers, right? Here also, if you wanted to create, here also if you wanted to create, what you can do is like, you can go over here, sorry, over here in the gear icon, and you can click on new. That is going to create a new enhanced list view. So that is what I'm creating, a new enhanced list view. Okay, new enhanced group. You can see that only all of the users, and share it with a particular group. I am selecting all of the users. Okay, and then save it. So it actually have created one of the new enhanced list view. But see, we haven't added any conditions, right? But in the classic version, it was like, after this you have been routed to the filter section. Here nothing have been added. So what I'll be doing is like, I'm going with this section, and I'll adding this filter. So a new filter, what do you want, the account name, or rather whatever. So I want only those, for example, I wanted only those accounts whose the status equals to what, active status equals to yes. Okay. And if you wanted to add one more condition, for example, active status equals to yet, and another. So active status equals to yes, and say the rating equals to hot, for example, or the industry may be equals to, or rating equals to hot. Let's look at, like, give some more data. So like rating equals to what? Rating equals to hot. Okay. So now I added with the two conditions, and done, and now save this. See, so I'll be seeing, only those records, those that I'll be saving on all those records whose rating is hot, and who's like what, uh, phone is, so because that fields are not displayed. So let me do one thing. Let me edit the list filters. Okay, logic or select the fields to be get displayed, right? So I don't want to see. Again, I don't want it to see. I don't want it to see. Oh, let me remove this. Let me add active status and let me add rating values. Let me add the rating. So pretty similar kind of interface you see, right? Close this. Now you can see all those accounts whose rating, whose active status is yes, and the rating is out. So that is about that is about looking into the accounts or like how we can add the enhanced list view option, right? Let me show you something more, something called as Kanban view. Oh, because what you are seeing this is in the form of let me go with the lead object for that. Okay. So lead would be like more appropriate to display. So you are seeing this data in the form of what? In the form of table. That's the only thing which is possible with the classic. So if you are listing out data in records in the classic, there's only one possibility that you can list it out into the form of table. But in the lightning there's something called as two more views has been added. Either you can split the data, either you can split the data based on certain entities, and or else what you can do is like the most interesting part over here. The most interesting part over here is like something called as Kanban view. Something called as Kanban. Okay, so one thing, this. Yeah. So rather, I'll be using the Kanban view. So here, what exactly is happened? Oh, let me try with the cases. See, is this one case? Let me all open cases. Let me go with the all open cases and let me show you something that you can display the record in something called as Kanban view. Okay, case reason valid status. Okay, see now you can see something called this is called as Kanban view. So this is a little bit preferred for displaying data which are having different status. I mean, all of those cases whose status is new, and all of those cases, these are all open cases. These are all open cases, by the way. Now, out of all those open cases, like there are 18 items, there are 18 open cases. Out of that, all of those cases whose status is new and whose status is working, and the one who's being escalated, right? And the one who's being closed. So this is something called as Kanban view. Now here, what is the advantage is the first thing is like this is a pictorial representation and you can easily find out how many cases have been like in the same view you can find out how many cases are new, how many are the workings, how many escalated, and how many have been closed. Now, for example, if there's a case that have been closed, what I can do is like for example, this is one of the case, Stella, okay, and electric surge. Now, one more thing, what you see over here, as soon as you put your cursor, as soon as you put your cursor, what you can see is this is something called as your mini page layout. Something called as your mini page layout. This is something called as your mini page layout. So onto the mini page layout, you can see others. Other details as well. Okay. Okay. So I can just bring, for example, this place has been closed. So I can just bring this. I just drag this from the working and I put it into the closed. I put it in the closed. Now you can automatically see the status was initially it was closed. Now it has been working. Now, for example, after some time, the style has again facing some problems. So this case has reopened. So what I can do is like I can assign it over here. So now you can see the status that becomes new. That is one of the important thing. So this is this Kanban view is mostly used during sales and service process. During sales cycle, sales cloud and service cloud, most of the views that are created that are mostly dependent that are mostly created with the Kanban. If you are working with the sales process, if you are working with the service process in your real time projects, you will be probably working on the Kanban views because this gives a detailed insight to our manager. This gives a detailed insight to the management people that how many cases, how many leads have been converted, how many cases are still open, what's the status, right? And this actually gives a kind of what I could say. How to say that? It's a kind of I mean, यार समझ में नहीं आ रहा क्या बोलना उसके लिए. But this is something it's the easiest way to display. I mean, instead of displaying the things onto the table, So this is the more appropriate and more kind of fancy way to display the things. And more, the most important thing is this is something which is draggable. This is something you can which is draggable. You can change the status from here itself. That is something called as Kanban, right? And mostly in the sales process, in the service process, the CSR they actually use this kind of graphical tools. They actually use this kind of graphical tool because that is pretty easy and that is pretty user friendly sort of thing. So that's one of the things. Now let's now understand how we can create the objects and fields inside the object. So for that, what you require to do is like, again, you require to click on your setup icon, go to the setup. So click on the gear icon, go to the setup. What do you wanted to create? I wanted to create an object. So in the quick find, just write down the object. Just write down the object. So object, actually, there are so many different things. You require to go with the object and fields, and there's a link called as object manager. Let's go with this, or else what you can do is like, you can just, beside to the home, there's something called as object manager. There also you can give, there also you can migrate directly, or you can go to the setup menu. Of course, you can click over here into the, you write down the objects. That's also can be done. So let's go with the object manager. Here you have, here you have a small checklist, a drop down where you can see there's this, something called as new object. To create a new object, there's a link over here as well. Over here as well, you can see there's a link called as new custom objects, right? It's up to you, like where you want to follow. There are two different ways. You can directly from here as well. You can select the new object, or from here as well. It's going to take you to the same interface, right? It's going to take you to the same interface. Even if you click that, or rather, if you click like this, so that would, you can see that that's going to take you to the same interfaces, right? So my first lightning, lightning object. Baki, if you have observed the interface, what we are seeing right now is same. It's same as your classic, as a classic objects. Interface is same. What you have seen, like in the classic, you go to the optional section, you allow everything, make it deployed, allow search, add nodes, launch a new custom tab with that. So this interface indirectly in the back end, everything is same. Everything is same. Okay, let me save this. Okay, so it will ask me to select the tab styles and everything. Everything what you have learned, this is pretty similar with your things what you have learned in the classic. The way you create the object in the classic. No, see, just make it available for the all users and everything. Let it be, select all of the profile users, save it, let it be landed on the default layouts and everything. So now you just now have created one of the object, one custom object you have created, object manager. Okay. Now, if you wanted this to be get added, if you wanted this to be get added into your application, you wanted this to be get like presently this is your, if I refresh it over here, so that object what I have created is not being listed out onto this navigation bar, right? Is not being listed out. So what I can do is like, I can make an edit over here and I can add one more item. What is that item? I just now have created one of the application, one object I created. Name of that is my custom object. It's the name, my first lightning object. What is lightning objects? Okay. I think I require to refresh this first. Okay. Now let me try to add something here. Oh, it's already been added. That's the reason I was not. So this already have, because I was working into this account. I was working under this application. And so as soon as I create this object, that automatically have been added. See, this is also one thing which we can see that it's actually make a difference with the classic and lightning, because in the classic, if you create an application, you certainly require to add that, right? But because we were onto this application only, right, we were into my first lightning application. Inside this, I create an object, so it's automatically get added. You can see that this is being my first lightning object over here. Now what I can do is, like, I can bring this over here. So let me do one thing. Let's bring the object a little bit upper. I can bring that somewhere around over here. I'm pasting this, and let me save this. So this is the object what I have created. Now you can go with the object, and obviously here also there's a link new. If you wanted to open, if you wanted to create a record, that is also over here. Can new first with this you can create a record. Otherwise, there's a new button. There's a new button, and all of the fields. You know that whenever an object is created, it's created only with the 5 fields: ID, name, owner, created by last modified. Out of that, you can add the name. You can add the name, because we haven't created any fields inside that. So that's the reason the interface looks like the way this. Now let's create some of the fields inside this object. So I'm going with this object manager. If you missed this part, if you don't know, like, so let me revise this again. Let's go to once again the gear icon, and let's go to the setup menu. Okay. Now in the setup, let's select the object manager. Select the object manager. Now go to that object. So what was that object? That was object something called lightning. My first lightning object. So from the list of all of the objects, select this, my first. And now you can see this is the feeds and relationship section, the page layout, lightning record page, buttons, compact layout. Okay. What is compact layout? I'll be showing you that. Perfect. I'll be showing you. Let me first of all create and record, then I'll be showing you what does it mean by the compact layout. And then limits, record types, search layout, everything, triggers, validation rules, whatever related to this object are being listed out over here. So I wanted to create a new fields and relationships. So I'm going with this section. See, this whenever the field is whenever the object created, you know this is created with 5 standard fields. ID, name, created by last modified by. Now I wanted to create a new field, so I'm creating on this new. Let's say it would be like, like a date. Okay, it would be like a date. I'm setting the date, and the next button. Oh, sorry. The label I'm putting entry date. Let me give any name over here. For example, entry date. And so I'm giving this. See, the interface is same. The interface is same like you have did it in the classic version. Same interface. Only the appear in the front part. The front end is changed. In the back end, it's still the classic. Yeah? The back end, it is still the classic. So I created one of the field called as entry date. Let me create one more field. Field like, city. So that the city should be a pick list. So I'm going with this pick list, and like, let me go with like a city. City. And I want to enter the values from my side. So it's like Nagpur, this Nagpur, and then Pune, and then, Mumbai. Okay, select the next button. Make it visible for all profile users. Click the next, and let's save. So we created one more field, right? We created one more field. Now if I go to this, I refresh this. Okay, I refresh this. So now if I go with, lightning objects, you can see that we haven't created any record. So either you can do is like, you can click the new button. That is also going to bring you this pop-up and this new. So if you observe one thing, see, when we click new in the classic, so that actually literally create it takes you to open one of the page, right? It takes you to the open one of the page. I mean, the same thing if you do with the classic. If you do the same thing with the classic, to do the same thing with the classic. For example, you created a one lightning object, right? And as soon as you just observe over here, you press the new button. See, it's actually being one more page has been loaded, right? One page has been loaded. So this is something which actually different. Like in the lightning, it's not like that. It's not like that. Like in the lightning, in the lightning, when you click this new button, it's actually popping up one of the component. So what is the major difference between your classic and lightning? In the lightning, actually, it consists of components, and the components are loaded onto the same page, right? Components are loaded onto the same page. So if this is your URL, and if you press this new button, right, only the component have been added. The URL is not changed. Only onto that particular page the component is being added. So that's the reason your lightning is pretty fast. That's the reason your Lightning is pretty fast as compared to your Classic. Okay, so let me give the name as to be like, for example, record number one. Entry date is, for example, today's date. Today's what? 20. Okay, and the city is Nagpur. And let me save this record. Let me save this record. And now see, you created a record. Go to over here. Let me press this. Let's go back to Lightning object. You see, one record has been created. Now, if I click this, again you observe how it goes in the Classic. If I click this, see, one page has been added. One page has been added. Okay. Now let me do the same thing. Here, it's not like that. Here it's not like if you go to the home page and you click on this, right? It's actually on the same page. It's same page. The components have been added. Components have been added. Right? The components have been added. Now there are two important things: details and related. Onto the related, it's going to show you if it is related with any other objects. For example, if I open like candidate is Akshay Patil, and if I go to the related section, or maybe with the hiring manager, I think, or okay, if I go with the positions, let me try to select the position of sales manager. So see, now you can see that this particular position, sales manager is being related, like the candidate that have been applied for this position, candidate name and notes and attachments. So everything, every if this data is being related to something, that is going to be listed out in a section called as related section. In a section called as related section. Now, for example, let's understand this user interface. So what is the thing that is being listed out over here? इसको क्या बोलते हैं? There is something called as compact layout. Okay, this is something called as page details, where you have leads and details, and this is activity section. Okay, and this is active. Now, if you wanted to customize this page, how you can do that? Right? How you can do that? For example, see what is the advantage over here is like on the same page you can even get the activity section. That when it's related to this record, you can set up a new event, a task, log and call, and this is something called as action area. Okay, this is something called as global actions. This is something called as global actions. Right, but if you don't wanted to see this onto this page, so how you can do that? So this I mean uh, there's one of the thing over here. Yeah, just go to the gear icon, and then there's a link called as edit page. Just click on the edit page. Just click on the edit page, and what you can do is like here you can do everything whatever you can design your own page with this is something called as lightning record page section, something called as lightning record page. So if for example I don't want this, if for example I don't want this, whether I wanted this to be get stretched out, ये पूरा page को cover करना चाहिए, and I don't wanted this activity section to be get listed out. So what I will be doing is like I'll make a click somewhere around over here. I'll make a click somewhere around over here, right? And yeah, I can change the template. I can change the template. So let's go to the template section. Right now it's indicating me header with the right sidebar, and so you can see something onto the side. So header and the right side में आपको sidebar नजर आ रहा है. So let me change the template. Let me change the template. So I'm selecting these are headers and right sidebar and all those like have been listed out. So I'm selecting like group header and one region. So I'll be going with this. So if it's a desktop, it's going to look like this. If it's a tablet, it's going to look like this. If it's a mobile, it's going to look like this. Okay, and if it's a small mobile, that it's going to list that like. So this is what something which is new to the Classic. That is actually makes a prediction key if you are selecting this particular template, if you are selecting this particular template, if you are selecting this particular template, if you are selecting this particular template. So how it's going to be appear into different kinds of devices, right? So that is one thing which makes you like you can get an idea, yeah, how the things have been going to be visualized over to different devices. So I'm selecting this one and start. So yeah, I'm going with this only. Let me click on the next. I don't want to add something over here. Okay, so now you can see that everything have been listed out. That everything have been listed out like this. Now, if you want it activity section, you can keep it. Otherwise, you can delete this. So see, there's a small icon over here. If you put your cursor, then it indicates that you're about to delete. So if I click that, that activity have been removed, right? Now, Onto this page, let me show you something more. If you want to add something onto this code, for example, I just now have added, I just deleted one component. So that was activity. So if you wanted it back, you can just drag and drop it. You can just drag and drop it. So that component has been added to your page, right? That component, previously this component was onto the right side as a sidebar. Now this have been stretched out with a complete page. If you want it, keep it onto the page. Otherwise, what you can do is you can definitely delete that component. This is the list of all of the components. This is the list of all of the components, right? Whatever you want, whatever you want. So that you can bring it. That you can bring it. And the custom components, if you have created any, if you have created any LWC, you have created any aura, that is going to be listed out over here. That's going to be listed out over into the custom sections. Let me show you that as well. So if you have created any LWC component, or maybe Aura component, so that is going to list it out over here in the custom sections. Let me show you that. All of the custom components that you create, that is going to list it out over there. That is going to be listed out over there. So hmm, this application. Let me first of all select the application, and let me go with the accounts. And now let me select this editor. So let's open any of the account record and let's now select edit page. Yeah, let's now select the edit page. See, so the same thing, the same thing. Now let's scroll it down so that all of the custom component that I have created for this particular, right? These are my lightning, and see, you can see the icon. You can see the icon. So these are actually LWC. For LWC, this is the icon, lightning icon. So that's LWC's lightning web component. If you create an aura, so the icon for the aura would be different. I haven't created anything on the aura. I mean, I started working on the LWC parts only. So I now start. I now create the applications only. The components I now only create the aura of LWC. So these are what these are my LWC components, and they have been listed out into their custom settings, right, in the custom section, right? Okay. So this is how you can make an editing over here, and this is how you can make an editing over here, and something just click into my mind. Yeah. So one more thing, if you have observed, this section related quick links and everything, how I bring it over here. Okay. So I added few more things like onto your page. Onto your page, you can see only things like you can see the things like these two were available, details and record. But I created one component called as history, right? I created one component called history. So I have added that component over here. So you can add them as a tab. You can add them as a separate. So that everything is possible with the Lightning. That everything is possible with the Lightning. Although this history is actually a component, but I have added this as a tab, as a tab. So how actually I did that? Let's understand that. That's the reason I have opened this sandbox. See, what I actually did is like, I first of all created an object and then I created a tab, a custom tab I have created. Now, if I go and I click over here, right, if I click over here, so what you can see onto the page, now you are onto the tab. So I created a custom tab, I created a custom tab history. I created a custom tab history, and onto this history, this is client history and unit history. I don't know what page, but I created a component called as history. So I just have dragged and dropped it, dragged, drop, drag, drop like this. Okay. So onto this tab, I just drag a component, and that's the reason you are seeing this all tables and everything whatever. So by the way, this is an output. By the way, this is an output from my component, right? That's an output from my component. So Lightning is actually pretty fast. Lightning is pretty fast, right? So if you want like the related come after delete after details, what you can do, you can just shuffle them. Oh, not from here. You require to shuffle it from here. So let me get any of the tab. Let's go on to the tab. So I wanted detail first and related then. So now you can see that it has been shuffled. If you want to add a component over here, one more tab. So you can add a tab. Okay, one more tab, and let me select like this tab is what? This tab is about. This tab is for what? So I mean, this is the list of all of the components that you can add. Like activity tab है, engagement tab है, ठीक categories है, coupons है, इनमें से कर सकते हो. Otherwise, what you can do is like if you have a Visual Force page by the way, ठीक है, तो आप Visual Force page के लिए भी आप एक tab बना सकते हो यहाँ पे. Otherwise, it's a custom tab. It's a custom tab. What I can select is like custom. If I select the custom, it will ask me, ठीक है, my custom tab, right? My custom tab. Sweet. And done. So see, one more tab has been added. What you can do is like, you can save that. You can save the changes, activate them. You can sign as off default. Desktop and phone. Save it. Save it. And now save this. So once you have saved this, you can go back. You can go back and see the changes what have been done. So now on to this particular page, जो भी जिसको मैंने अभी edit किया है, ठीक है? I remember मैंने किसको edit किया अभी. But on to that page, one tab is being appeared. Position में था मैं कहाँ था? I was onto the position itself here. मैं यहाँ था. Why it's not being added? Let me go to edit page once again. Let me add one more tab. Why it was not added? I don't know. Let me see why it's not being added. Details. Custom. My custom tab. Done. Save it. Okay. Let's do one. It's not showing. Right, it's not showing. Nice. Like vision. You require to add that changes into the application. That was the reason it was not showing. Why I selected this application my first, and then I'm selecting this. Let's make it available on desktop and phone. Save it. Save. The more thing left. The activation. All default. It's done. App default, and record type. Assign app. So record type. So my first lightning application. From here as well, you require to select next, and the next. Ticket master, and the next. What are the profiles that we selected? You can select everything. So, now it's like skyline, these two profiles. The changes, I mean, the changes what I made, I'm just reflecting the changes onto the profiles and everything. Standard system administrator, right? And then next, and then save it. And now let me try to save it. Changes have been saved. Okay, let's go back to this. अरे यार क्या हो रहा है यहाँ पे? Why it's not? Okay, I require to see that क्यों हो रहा है ऐसा, but this is the way I added it every time. Something that is I'm missing probably with the configuration, and so it's not bringing the tab. It's not bringing the tab. I'm missing something. Definitely, it's my mistake. It's not about Lightning. Something that is I am missing. So probably due to that reason only, it's not actually adding that custom tab. So uh, save this back. Ideally, it should appear over here. I don't know what is the reason, but yeah, this is the process. चलो मुझे नहीं समझ में आ रहा है ऐसे क्यों होता है. कुछ है जो मैं मिस कर रहा हूँ, बट बाय द वे द टैब्स आर एडेड लाइक दिस ओनली ओवर। ठीक है, चलिए। सो हाँ, लेट मी नाउ शो यू कि व्हाट डज इट मींस बाय कॉम्पैक्ट लेआउट। कॉम्पैक्ट लेआउट मतलब होता है द लेआउट व्हाट यू आर सीइंग राइट नाउ ओवर हियर। ठीक है, इसको बोलते हैं कॉम्पैक्ट लेआउट। नाउ इफ यू सी, इफ यू वांटेड टू एडिट दिस, so this is what position, this is what, let me do this changes with the lightning object। ठीक है, ये रिकॉर्ड वन है। यहाँ पे फॉर एग्जांपल सेम थिंग व्हाट यू कैन डू इज लाइक आप जैसे यहाँ देखो कि यहाँ पे एक्टिविटी दिख रहा है, तो यू कैन रिमूव द चेंजेस, यू कैन रिमूव एंड यू कैन स्ट्रेच इट आउट, या फिर आप चाहे तो उसको साइड बार के साथ रख सकते हो, थिंग्स लाइक दैट। एंड लेट मी शो यू कि व्हाट डज इट मींस बाय हाउ वी कैन गो टू द पेज लेआउट एंड एवरीथिंग, और यहाँ पे हम कैसे चेंजेस कर सकते हैं। सो लेट मी क्लिक ऑन सेटअप वंस अगेन। ठीक है, let's click on the setup once again and let's go to the object manager। ऑब्जेक्ट मैनेजर में आपका लाइटनिंग ऑब्जेक्ट नाम से एक ऑब्जेक्ट आपने क्रिएट किया है। क्लिक ऑन दैट लाइटनिंग। अब आपको क्या चाहिए, यू वांटेड टू ऐड सम फील्ड्स, यू वांटेड टू गो टू द पेज लेआउट। ठीक है, तो अब पेज लेआउट चेंजेस करने हैं तो पेज लेआउट पे जाओ, यहाँ क्लिक करो। और फिर क्लिक ऑन दिस, तो जैसा क्लासिक में आपको दिखता था ऑलवेज विजिबल सेक्शन, सी द सेम थिंग ओवर हियर एज वेल, वही सेम चीज है, सब कुछ वैसे का वैसे। ठीक है, सब कुछ वैसे का वैसे। यू कैन गो टू द रिलेटेड लिस्ट, यू कैन गो टू द रिलेटेड लिस्ट, so दिस इज व्हाट द रिलेटेड लिस्ट। अब इसमें से आपको क्या चाहिए क्या नहीं चाहिए, कुछ और डालना है यहाँ पे, जैसे अप्रूवल हिस्ट्री डालना है, कंटेंट डालना है, तो यू कैन सेम जस्ट ड्रैग एंड ड्रॉप इट। ठीक है, यू कैन गो टू द फील्ड्स, अगर कोई फील्ड्स नहीं है, अगर कोई बटन है, कोई कोई एक्शंस डालने हैं आपको, तो वो डाल सकते हो। तो ये इंटरफेस वैसा ही है जैसे आपने देखा इसके पहले। ठीक है, लाइटनिंग रिकॉर्ड पेज अभी जैसे आपने एडिट किया वो भी बताया था मैंने। कॉम्पैक्ट लेआउट पे चलो, कॉम्पैक्ट लेआउट एक अच्छी चीज है। तो यू सी दिस इंटरफेस लुक्स लाइक टू बी लाइक दिस, अभी ये ऐसा दिख रहा है। लेट मी नाउ मेक द चेंजेस इन द कॉम्पैक्ट लेआउट। तो कॉम्पैक्ट लेआउट में सिस्टम डिफॉल्ट पे मैं क्लिक करता हूँ, एंड यू कैन डू व्हाट यू नो, यू कैन क्लोन और ईदर यू कैन क्लिक, you can create a new compact layout as well। So let's go to the compact layout, and this was the system default, so I'm creating my own compact layout। So right, right, object, compact। Okay. So with this name, and what are the fields that you wanted, I wanted to add a city and entry date and owner। I am just adding all these three fields, and you are going to see the changes, आपको पता चलेगा कि क्या कर रहा है। ठीक है, okay। And then compact layout assignments, so edit the assignments। तो इंस्टेड ऑफ डिस्प्लेइंग ये जो ऊपर का एरिया है ना उसको, अभी वो सिस्टम डिफॉल्ट था, मैं वहां से कॉम्पैक्ट ले लिया है। लेट मी नाउ सेव दिस, लेट्स गो बैक एंड लेट्स सी द चेंजेस हैव बीन रिफ्लेक्टेड और नॉट। या, तो नाउ यू कैन सी कि अभी ये पहले देखो आप कुछ अलग दिख रहा था, अभी ये अलग दिख रहा है। अभी यहाँ पे कुछ फील्ड्स आ रही है, एंट्री डेट, ओनर। तो ये क्या होता है बेसिकली, इफ यू वांटेड अ सेक्शन वेयर फ्यू प्राइमरी इंफॉर्मेशन शुड बी गेट डिस्प्लेड, तो दैट इज समथिंग कॉल्ड एज कॉम्पैक्ट लेआउट। इसको कॉम्पैक्ट लेआउट, बिकॉज आई सेलेक्टेड दोज फील्ड्स, मैंने उसका नाम देखा एंड एंट्री डेट एंड ओनर, सो इट हैव अरेंज ऑल ऑफ देम ओवर हियर कि एंट्री डेट क्या है, ओनर क्या है। ठीक है, बट एट मैक्स यू कैन डिस्प्ले आई थिंक 4 फील्ड्स ओवर हियर, दैट इज समथिंग काइंड ऑफ गवर्नर लिमिट। यहाँ पर एक गवर्नर लिमिट है, आई थिंक इट्स मैक्सिमम 4 फील्ड या फिर 5 फील्ड है दैट यू कैन ब्रिंग अप ऑन टू द कॉम्पैक्ट लेआउट। अगर आप उसे ज्यादा ऐड करते हो, जो हायरार्की में पहली 4 या 5, मुझे थोड़ा सा अंदाजा नहीं है अभी इसका, वो यहाँ पे लिस्ट आउट हो जाती है। तो दिस इज अ सेक्शन वेयर यू कैन, मतलब अगर यहाँ पे बहुत सारी फील्ड्स हैं, इट कंटेन सो मेनी डिफरेंट फील्ड्स। हाँ, तो अभी इसका फायदा कहाँ मिलता है, यहाँ देखो आप, ये मैं क्यों पढ़ा रहा हूँ आपको। सो अगर आपकी बहुत सारी फील्ड्स हैं फॉर एग्जाम्पल, तो एंड यू वांटेड देयर आर फ्यू ऑफ द काइंड ऑफ इंपॉर्टेंट फील्ड जो है, जैसे अगर मैं कम्युनिटी अकाउंट में जाता हूँ फॉर एग्जाम्पल, है ना, फॉर एग्जाम्पल इफ आई गो टू द कम्युनिटी अकाउंट या जो भी अकाउंट है, इन द डिटेल्स, इन द डिटेल सेक्शन इफ यू सी, अगर मैं डिटेल्स में जाता हूँ, देखो कितनी सारी फील्ड्स हैं यहाँ पे, देखो कितनी सारी फील्ड्स है, लाइक इतनी सारी फील्ड्स में, बट आई वांटेड फ्यू ऑफ द फील्ड्स टू बी गेट डिस्प्ले। जैसे मैंने प्राइमरी कॉन्टैक्टर फोन को रखा है यहाँ पे। ठीक है, आई कैन गो विद एग्जाम्पल, अगर मैं कॉन्टैक्ट्स में जाता हूँ, आई गो विद जैक रॉजर्स। ठीक है, तो अभी देखो यहाँ पे देर आर 4 फील्ड्स, आई थिंक दिस इज द मैक्सिमम फील्ड्स व्हाट आई कुड ब्रिंग ऑन टू द कॉम्पैक्ट लेआउट। क्योंकि डिटेल्स में आप अगर आप देखो तो बहुत सारी फील्ड्स हैं यहाँ पे, लाइक बहुत सारी फील्ड्स हैं। तो अगर देर आर फ्यू ऑफ द इन्फॉर्मेशन जो प्राइमरीली वी वांटेड टू डिस्प्ले, क्लाइंट कह रहा है कि एज सुन एज आई ओपन दैट पर्टिकुलर कॉन्टैक्ट अकाउंट, एज सुन एज I open that particular record, I wanted to get information related to these primary fields, right? So that you can bring over to the compact layout. That's what the advantage of compact layout, right? ऐसा रहता है इसका। So this is something called as compact layout। उसके बाद में अभी और क्या, चलो अब मैं आपको कुछ चीजें बताता हूँ, जैसे हाउ यू कैन क्रिएट द ऑब्जेक्ट तो हो गया। फील्ड्स कैसे ऐड कर सकते हो, दैट आल्सो हैव बीन डन। फील्ड्स आपको ऐड करना आता है, मतलब यू कैन आल्सो ऐड द रिलेशनशिप्स एंड एवरीथिंग। ठीक है। एंड रिलेटेड क्या होता है रिलेटेड में, नाउ यू नो दिस, अगर आप नोट्स एंड अटैचमेंट फ्रॉम हियर ऑल्सो, आप अगर यहाँ कॉन्टैक्ट होता बाय द वे, तो आप यहाँ से भी एक कॉन्टैक्ट रिकॉर्ड क्रिएट कर सकते हैं, दैट इज ऑल्सो वन ऑफ द पॉसिबिलिटी, बिकॉज लाइटिंग बहुत फास्ट होता है, लाइटिंग बहुत ज्यादा फास्ट होता है। एंड यू पुट योर कर्सर, दिस इज समथिंग कॉल्ड एज मिनी पेज लेआउट, दिस इज समथिंग कॉल्ड एज मिनी पेज लेआउट, दैट प्राइमरी डिस्प्ले द इन्फॉर्मेशन, राइट, दिस समथिंग कॉल्ड एज मिनी पेज लेआउट, ये पॉपअप जो आता है ना उसको मिनी पेज लेआउट होते हैं। एंड हाउ टू प्लान दैट मिनी पेज लेआउट, लेट मी शो यू दैट एज वेल, ठीक है, वो भी दिखा देता हूँ कि मिनी पेज लेआउट को कैसे प्लान करना। So that you can do even the classic version as well. तो आप classic version में भी कर सकते हो. So if you go to the page layout and let me click on this page layout. So if you see this is small link over here, mini page layout. You know, this is available in the classic version as well. आप mini page layout में you can select कि आपको कौन कौन सी fields दिखानी है, you know, that you can add and that you can save. So वो वाली fields जो है रिफ्लेक्ट होती हैं, जहाँ जहाँ पर ये पर्टिकुलर लेआउट कॉल होगा, ठीक है, वहां पे ये वाली फील्ड जो है वो डिस्प्ले हो जाएगी। लेट मी सेव द चेंजेस व्हाट एवर आई मेड। तो दिस इज अभी यहाँ नहीं होगा, बिकॉज ये दूसरा पेज लेआउट, ये ओनर का पेज लेआउट, यू कैन सी। अगर कोई ऐसा पेज लेआउट है बाय द वे जहाँ पे ये कॉल हो रहा है, ठीक है, जहाँ ये कॉल हो रहा है, ये रिकॉर्ड कॉल हो रहा है, माए ये पहला जो रिकॉर्ड बनाया हमने, रिकॉर्ड नंबर 1, अगर ये कहीं भी कॉल हो रहा है, मतलब ये अभी रिकॉर्ड नंबर 1 पे लिंक नहीं है, लिंक ओनर पे है, और ये यूजर ऑब्जेक्ट पे जा रहा है, ये यूजर पे जा रहा है, ये यूजर पे जा रहा है। अगर बाय द वे कोई ऐसा ऑब्जेक्ट होता जहाँ पे ये लिंक होती, तो जैसे ही मैं रिकॉर्ड नंबर 1 पे अपना कर्सर लेके आता, जैसे ही मैं रिकॉर्ड नंबर 1 पे अपना कर्सर लेके आता, तो जो फील्ड्स अभी मैंने यहाँ पे सिलेक्ट करी, जो फील्ड्स मैंने अभी मिनी पेज लेआउट में यहाँ पे सिलेक्ट करी, जिसमें उसका नाम, सिटी और एंट्री डेट, वो एक्चुअली दिखता था। तो दिस इज समथिंग कॉल्ड एज मिनी पेज लेआउट, इसको बोलते हैं मिनी पेज लेआउट। ठीक है, एक ये भी हो गया। फील्ड्स एप्लीकेशन क्रिएट करना सिखा दिया मैंने आपको, मैंने सिखा दिया ऑब्जेक्ट क्रिएट करना, फील्ड्स क्रिएट करना, और मिनी पेज लेआउट भी बता दिया है, और कैनवन व्यू भी बता दिया है। पेज को कैसे कस्टमाइज करना, रिकॉर्ड लाइटिंग रिकॉर्ड पेज को, वो भी आपको मैंने बता दिया है। टैब्स कैसे क्रिएट करना, ठीक है, वो बता दिया। अनफॉर्चुनेटली वो डेमोन्स्ट्रेट नहीं कर पा रहा हूँ, सब कुछ तो भी है जो मैं मिस कर रहा हूँ। और इसके बाद में चलो अब मैं कुछ और चीज़ें बताता हूँ, जैसे कि फॉर एग्जांपल अब बाकी की सारी चीज़ें, फॉर एग्जांपल लेट्स गो टू द सेटअप मेनू, आप सेटअप मेनू में चलो। नाउ इफ यू वांटेड टू क्रिएट अ वर्क फ्लो, ठीक है, अगर आपको वर्क फ्लो क्रिएट करना है, ठीक है, तो आप वर्क फ्लो या क्विक एक्शन में टाइप करो एंड जस्ट गो विद दिस नेविगेशन, ठीक है, गो विद दिस नेविगेशन। तो इट विल आस्क यू, जो बाकी का फिर पूरा इंटरफेस सेम हो जाता है, ठीक है। वर्क देखो अब ये पूरा ये अपना क्लासिक है, कि ये जो जो वर्क फ्लोस हमने पहले से क्रिएट करेंगे वो है। इफ यू क्रिएट अ न्यू रूल, ठीक है, इट विल फर्स्ट आस्क यू कि आप उसको फ्लोज में करना चाहते हो वगैरह वगैरह। अदरवाइज जैसा बिल्कुल सेम इंटरफेस है, सी द सेम इंटरफेस एंड एवरीथिंग, वो वैसा ही है वर्क पूरा, रूल नंबर, ठीक है। ये हो गया वर्क फ्लो के बारे में। नाउ फॉर एग्जांपल अगर आपको प्रोसेस बिल्डर क्रिएट करना है, तो यू कैन टाइप दिस प्रोसेस, ठीक है, तो प्रोसेस बिल्डर आ जाता है। प्रोसेस बिल्डर का भी इंटरफेस सेम है। तो एक्चुअली क्या है, फ्रंट एंड चेंज हुआ है, बैक एंड पे अभी भी इंटरफेसेस पूरे वही है, ठीक है। सी द इंटरफेस, ये पूरा वही है। तो क्लिक ऑन द न्यू, इट विल आस्क यू कि क्या है भैया, पहले तो आप बोलेगा आप फ्लो बनाओ, आपको फ्लो नहीं पता है, तो चलो ठीक है, प्रोसेस बिल्डर पे चलो। तो प्रोसेस नेम, डिस्क्रिप्शन, रिकॉर्ड चेंजेस है ना, तो सब पूरा वही है, बेसिकली इट्स ऑल सेम थिंग। नाउ इफ यू वांटेड टू फॉर एग्जांपल क्रिएट द रिपोर्ट्स, राइट, तो आप रिपोर्ट्स एंड डैशबोर्ड में जा सकते हो, यू कैन गो टू द रिपोर्ट्स एंड डैशबोर्ड, ठीक है। फ्रॉम देयर यू कैन क्लिक रिपोर्ट्स एंड एवरीथिंग, ठीक है। एंड बाकी तो वैसे ही है फिर। अगर आपको यूजर्स क्रिएट करने, यू कैन गो टू द यूजर्स, ठीक है, यू कैन गो टू द यूजर सेक्शन। यूजर में जाने के बाद में व्हाट यू कैन डू इज लाइक, यू नो, फॉर एग्जांपल सी द इंटरफेस, आप देखो ये पूरा क्लासिक है, ये पूरा क्लासिक है। नाउ न्यू यूजर, तो वही सेम थिंग जैसा भी है, ठीक है। यूजर हो गया। अगर आपको प्रोफाइल्स क्रिएट करना है, फॉर एग्जांपल नया नया प्रोफाइल बनाना है, फॉर एग्जांपल, तो आप पहले प्रोफाइल पे जाइए, ठीक है, जस्ट गो ऑन टू द प्रोफाइल। इंटरफेसेस वुड बी सेम इंटरनली, फ्रंट एंड चेंज हुआ है बस, और कुछ नहीं है। आप नेविगेट करके जैसे ही अंदर पहुंचते हैं, इट्स ओनली क्लासिक, इट्स ओनली क्लासिक। क्रिएट अ न्यू प्रोफाइल, जब अपन न्यू प्रोफाइल क्रिएट करते हैं तो एग्जिस्टिंग प्रोफाइल को अपन क्लोन करते हैं, ठीक है, उसको क्लोन करके ही अपने को नया प्रोफाइल बनाना पड़ता है, ऐसा सेम थिंग, ठीक है। और क्या, प्रोसेस बिल्डर हो गया, वर्कफ्लो हो गया, रिपोर्ट्स हो गया, ऑब्जेक्ट्स हो गया, फील्ड्स हो गया, और पेज लेआउट के ऊपर से चीज़ें हो गई, मिनी पेज लेआउट हो गया, कॉम्पैक्ट लेआउट हो गया, और क्या क्या है, पोस्ट डैशबोर्ड भी हो गया। ईमेल अलर्ट्स वगैरह, हाँ ईमेल अलर्ट्स बनाने हैं तो यू कैन गो डायरेक्टली विद कम्युनिकेशन और ईमेल, ईमेल्स पे आप डायरेक्टली जा सकते हो। और कम्युनिकेशन है दैट आई आल्सो रिक्वायर टू सी, मैंने कभी किया नहीं एक्चुअली ये काम, आई डोंट नो, ठीक है वो देखना पड़ेगा ईमेल अलर्ट्स कहाँ से बनते हो, टाइप्स ऑफ, मुझे भी नहीं आता है। यहाँ आप ऐसे भी स्क्रॉल कर सकते हो तो आपको यहाँ से भी पता चलता है, जैसे एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन मेनू है यहाँ पे, एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन मेनू में यूजर्स के रिलेटेड परमिशन सेट्स बनानी है, प्रोफाइल बनाने, ग्रुप बनाने, रोल्स क्रिएट करने हैं, ठीक है। तो एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन करके मेनू है, उसमें है ये सारी चीज़ें। प्लेटफॉर्म टूल्स में आपके एप्लीकेशन रिलेटेड चीज़ें हैं सारी, ठीक है। और बहुत सारा चीज़ें यहाँ पे। सेटिंग्स में, कंपनी सेटिंग्स में यू कैन सी अबाउट दी कंपनी इन्फॉर्मेशन, जैसे अपन वहाँ देखते थे सेम यहाँ पर भी अपन देख सकते हैं कंपनी इन्फॉर्मेशन, ठीक है। सो कंपनी इन्फॉर्मेशन देखो, ये पेज जो है वो क्लासिक का ही पेज है एक्चुअली, बिल्कुल वही पेज है। सो इंटरनली इट्स क्लासिक ओनली, ये बात याद रखो। अपीयरेंस से फ्रंट एंड चेंज हुआ है आपका, जब आप अंदर नेविगेट करते हो ना तो सेम डेटा आपको नजर आता है, ठीक है। दिस वाज ऑल ऑफ, बाकी जो है थोड़ा सा एक्सप्लोर करो अब इस एक्सपीरियंस को, और कुछ नहीं है, बाकी थोड़ा सा आप अपनी तरफ से एक्सप्लोर, दैट्स इट। एनीथिंग टू आस्क? यू जस्ट रिक्वायर टू एक्सप्लोर दिस, आपको अपने से काफी एक्सप्लोर करना पड़ेगा। बाकी एक चीज है जो है, ऊपर का ही सामने का फ्रंट एंड चेंज हुआ है, बैक एंड पे जो अभी भी है वो सारा वैसा ही जैसा आपने क्लासिक के लिए पढ़ा, ठीक है। इंटरनली एवरी पेज लेआउट एंड एवरीथिंग, नेविगेशन सब कुछ वैसा ही है, बस आपका फ्रंट एंड चेंज, लाइटनिंग में सिर्फ आपका फ्रंट एंड चेंज। यस, एनीथिंग टू आस्क ओवर हियर?